At the beginning of this lecture, we learned that development is the broader concept, and training falls within that broader concept. Career development is another type of development that falls under the broader umbrella. A career is a series of lifelong work-related experiences. Your career includes all of the different job-related experiences that you obtain throughout your life. A job is temporary. It's just one aspect of your career. Your career is actually a story about your work. There are several benefits of creating a career development system within the broader employee development system. Benefits for supervisors include increased skill in managing their own careers, their own career progression. It also helps them better communicate with direct reports. They can help improve their performance in a way that helps them get to where they're going within the organization. It can also help them develop a greater understanding of the organization. For employees, these career development systems help them make career decisions, set more realistic goals and expectations for their careers, and gives them greater personal responsibility in managing their careers. Career development systems can help employers leverage their human resources more effectively. It can also help them retain the most valued employees and enhance their public image. Some organizations with high turnover rates can combat this tendency for people to quit. They can combat that by becoming known as a center of learning, a center of growth. An organizational career development system is a formal and planned effort to try to balance individuals' personal goals for development with the organization's goals for training, for performance improvement. Most organizations have training programs in place. Career development systems can take the training system to the next level by also incorporating individual personal career-related goals. Career planning and career management fall under this topic. Career planning has to do with individual employees becoming more aware of their strengths as well as their limitations and the things they need to work on in order to get to the next stage in their career. This involves making constant updates to one's career plans, career goals, and the activities that we think will help us get from point A to point B, from today to tomorrow. Career management is an organizational process. It involves the organization's time and money. This is the process of preparing, implementing, and monitoring career plans, succession planning, career ladders, career paths. Under career planning, we have things like the occupation that people choose, the organization they choose to work for, the job assignments that they want, and it also includes their personal efforts at managing their own careers. When it comes to career management, we're talking about things like recruitment, selection, human resource education, appraisal, evaluation, training, and development. All of these topics can feed into career management, the idea that the organization is trying to help its own employees make plans for their careers within that organization. Within a career development system, there are things the individual employees can do, and there are things the organization can do. I have lists here of some of those strategies that we need to keep in mind. For individuals, it's important to understand, even now in college, that your career will involve continuous lifelong learning. Make sure that you can define the things that you're interested in and the things you're not interested in. Use your interests to then help you set goals for the future. Where do you see yourself in 15 years? Are you working behind a desk? Are you outside? Are you around people? Are you with adults? Are you with children? Are you with animals? My recommendation to you would be to find that one thing that you're really good at and make sure you maintain your expertise in that one area. chances are throughout your life, you will be called upon to use that skill set. And there may be situations where you get a promotion because of it, or an opportunity comes knocking because of it. There are companies that have now popped up that provide reputation building, reputation enhancing services where they can try to get pictures taken down. They can help you change your social media profiles to better reflect who you are. They can provide a service that is very beneficial to Gen X, Gen Y, and Gen Z employees. Make sure that you start networking. Develop connections with people in your industry and outside your industry. This can be as simple as one-on-one coffee conversations. It can be having lunch with a boss's boss to learn more about their job and what it means to work for the company at that level. It can mean going to networking events that are put on by professional organizations within your industry. Organizations need to make sure that they're providing a variety of different learning opportunities. Training is one example, encouraging people to go to conferences, to read, to finish their degrees, to find personal development opportunities outside of the organization. All of these things are ways that the organization can encourage learning, continuous learning. We want to make sure that the organization's climate is supportive, just as we have to pay attention to this with training. It's also important with career development. Make sure you train managers. Make sure that they understand what career development is all about, how employees progress in the organization, what the application process is like, what kind of criteria they pay attention to when promoting employees in a specific job. Try to do things to help people balance their work lives with their non-work lives. By doing this, by implementing, for instance, flexible work schedules, we enable people to do the things in their life that they need to do on their own schedule, on their own terms. We give them more flexibility, more autonomy. This empowers people. This motivates people to not only take care of their business outside of work, but to get back to work and give their all to the organization. Finally, make sure that you integrate the career development system with the other systems in the organization: recruitment, selection, performance. All of these activities need to be connected. On the next few slides, we'll cover some of the methods that we can use to help people plan their careers, plan the next step in their life. Self-assessment tools are exercises and tests that employees can use by themselves, independently, alone, to help them determine their interests, skills, and preferences, as well as areas that need improvement. We often use these tools in career planning workshops, and they're often included in career workbooks. Individual counseling is another method. This is an intense one-on-one planning process. There are usually several sessions of discussions about what an applicant, what an employee is looking for, what they are trying to accomplish in their life. We usually try to identify what has worked for them in the past, what hasn't worked for them in the past, and use some of those strategies that have worked or haven't worked to come up with a plan for moving forward. We want to start with easier goals and make several small wins in the beginning, and then build them up to larger, more complex, more difficult goals. Make sure that you celebrate success, accomplishments with the different trainees. Celebrating some of these accomplishments can keep people engaged in the process, motivate them to continue learning on the job. Another reason that these individual counseling sessions are used is because it's a great opportunity for people to write out scripts, the things they'd like to say in different situations, and role play different scenarios with the counselor, with the individual that they're talking to. Sometimes that's what people need. They need to talk it out and come up with a plan for what to say. Many career development systems also include some type of information service, some way for them to share information about the organization's career opportunities with its current employees. Some of this information can be found in job descriptions and job openings, and so we might look at some of their job postings to get an idea of what is required for a specific job, compare those requirements to the next level up. Some organizations also provide customized skill inventories that can help employees determine gaps in their skills. Career ladders and career paths also provide information about how someone might move forward in their career, how someone might get from level 1 to level 4. I'll show you an example on the next slide. Career resource centers can be found in some of the larger organizations. I know, for instance, Google has a center on every single location, on every single campus. We can also use emails, newsletters, and flyers to get the word out about different career opportunities, different learning opportunities, different training opportunities. This is an example of what we would call a career ladder, with the bottom rung in the bottom row and the top rung in the top row. An employee might start at the administrator level. We have the credentials that they need, we have the experience that they need, and then we have the salary range that someone at that level might earn. As we move up the ladder, of course, the credentials change, the experience level change, but so does the salary. This information, what it takes to go from administrator to an engineer to a senior engineer to a practice lead, this information is important to a lot of employees, especially highly motivated employees. They have a clear idea of what they need to do in the next 10 years to get to where they're going. Organizational assessment programs refer to the techniques we use to assess employees' potential, their potential for growth, for learning, for development. And we have a variety of different things that we can do to try to gather information about this. Assessment centers, just like those we learned about in the selection process, are the most predictive of advancement criteria. Assessment centers, because we're collecting information about a variety of skills, and because we're often comparing people to one another, and because the tasks are often focused on higher level thinking, on the types of knowledge and skills that managers would use, because of all of these things, assessment centers have real value when it comes to career development, and they have real value when it comes to selection tests. So worth the investment, especially for large organizations with multiple levels of management. Psychological testing is another common way of assessing potential. The Myers-Briggs type indicator can be used in this particular situation. Promotability forecasting has to do with identifying employees who have high potential, who are extremely talented, identifying those people early and trying to figure out where they fit in. The succession planning, the very last bullet. Succession planning can help us create a talent pipeline by identifying those with high potential, figuring out what they want from the job, figuring out what the organization needs from its employees, and then plotting their career advancement, figuring out who's going to take over whose position, when, what kind of training do they need before that happens. Succession planning can also increase employees' commitment to the organization and retention rates among the higher levels, because people know that they have something they're working towards, and if they stay, there's a very good chance they could get that promotion and get that job that they've been wanting. Here's an example of what a succession plan might look like. We are thinking about who will take over the CFO position, the Chief Financial Officer position. We have different employees, 6 of them on the left. We have their name, their job title. We also have their readiness to take on the CFO position. We have their potential, their performance level, and also their readiness to be promoted and take on additional responsibility. 4 different indicators of how well prepared each individual is for the role. It looks like right now, if we look at the bottom row, it looks like Andrew, who is currently the Vice President of Finance, he is next in line. He is ready now. He has high potential, high performance, and it looks like he's probably expressed some interest in taking on more responsibility. We have 2 auditors, 2 account managers, and a controller. You can see that one of the auditors and one of the controllers are not quite ready. They are several years out from taking on this position, but that knowledge is useful for us. We don't know how long Andrew is going to stay in the CFO position. In 3 years, if Andrew decides to leave, it could be that both Karen and Ainsley might be ready at that time. Succession planning creates a pipeline, a series of people who are ready to take on a role. And at each level, the training is going to be different. How we train Nita might be different from how we train Aaron, but the end goal is essentially the same. We're trying to prepare them for that CFO position if the CFO were to leave our organization. Development programs within a career development system include things like job sampling, job shadowing, job rotation, allowing employees to learn about different jobs within their unit, within their department. These can be training methods and they can be career development methods as well. Mentoring has to do with establishing a relationship between a lower level employee and a higher level employee, someone with less experience and someone with more experience. The more experienced colleague, of course, mentors the less experienced colleague with the hopes of helping them not only improve their performance, but also understand where they're going in the organization, where they're going with their career, and what they can do to make that happen. After all, the senior colleague probably has been through a similar process and can provide some insight that maybe the supervisor can't or the supervisor doesn't have time for. Mentoring programs can be formal and they can be informal. Formal programs are structured and driven by the organization. The organization might pay for the mentee and the mentor to spend time together, to enjoy meals together, to go to trainings together. Formal mentoring is the preferred method, but of course it costs more, it's more time consuming, training is involved, but formal mentoring is preferred because it can increase career aspirations, the goals that people have for their careers. It can increase job satisfaction, job performance, and an individual's promotability, the likelihood that they have the knowledge and skills they need to get promoted. This is because they get sort of the inside knowledge, the inside story when it comes to that organization and that career. Informal mentoring is a more relaxed, unstructured type of mentoring where individuals are matched based on their similarities. Some of you may ask someone that you know to be your mentor. You're asking them because you know them and they seem like someone that you might get along with. When it comes to formal mentoring, we match people based on their KSAOs, not so much on whether they both sit next to one another in the office. On these last 3 slides in this last section of the lecture, I want to cover some of the special groups that we need to pay attention to when it comes to career development. There are groups of employees that can benefit from targeted career development strategies. For instance, new employees. It's important that we target this group and try to inform them about the organization's policies, procedures, and instill a sense of commitment and satisfaction, commitment with the organization and satisfaction with their job, with their current progress in their career. Employee orientation programs are one way of doing this. Fast track employees can benefit from being identified early and get them ready for that next step. Supervisors benefit from learning how to coach, mentor, advise, appraise performance, and they benefit from being an additional source of information for their direct reports. Executive coaching is a specific type of coaching that we use with higher level leaders in an organization. It is usually practical, it is goal focused, and it can be expensive. Executive coaches can make hundreds of thousands of dollars coaching CEOs, CFOs in terms of how to do their very specific job better. It's difficult to send a whole bunch of CEOs to one training and then get something out of it. Higher level leaders benefit from more customized one-on-one training because their job is so specific and involves so many different moving parts, and because there's only one of them. One of the other things we need to make sure that we do is evaluate both our training programs and the career development system for adverse impact. Everyone should have the same access to development opportunities, whether it's training or it's related to careers. Equal access, equal opportunity, that is key. And if we find issues, of course, those issues need to be corrected so that we can keep those employees. Consider implementing different work-life practices that can help people grow professionally and grow personally, that can help them manage the different aspects of our very complicated work lives. Things like maternity paternity leave, which is mandated for employers with more than 50 employees, but not for small businesses, relocation assistance, and child elder care services. When we think about caregivers, many of us automatically think about parents, but with baby boomers reaching retirement, we also have to think about many of those baby boomers and even Gen X employees. We have to think about their needs in terms of they're not raising children, they're taking care of their aging parents. So it's child and elder care in 2020. We have to think about both. Flexible work arrangements are another way of providing more control, more flexibility, more autonomy to our caregiver employees and really everyone. Flex time that involves allowing people to show up to work and leave at different times as long as you're at work between 10 and 4. We don't mind if you show up at 9:30 and leave at 4:30. Job sharing, two people sharing the same job. We might have a full-time job that needs to be filled, but we choose to hire 2 part-time employees and then they share that job. And finally, telecommuting, working from home, working from some other location, not at the office, the traditional office. All of these different options allow caregivers to better manage their lives. Just a few more groups for us to pay special attention to. Repatriates, individuals who have been working in another location, in another country. When they come back to the organization, when they come back to the country, we need to do what we can to help them manage that re-entry phase. It can be quite a shock and it can be a struggle. So we need to make sure we make those people feel welcome, catch them up to speed. Don't put too much pressure on them in those first 2 days to get back up and running. They may need sleep, they may need extra fuel, food. Give them some time to readjust, be there for them, support them, encourage them, share information, get them caught up. Make them feel like they never really left. Entrenched employees are those who are feeling stuck, are feeling frustrated. We need to do what we can to motivate them, to inspire them, to continue working towards those career goals. Even if they are nearing retirement, there are still some things that they might be able to do to grow personally, things that may help the organization in the long run. Retiring employees is another special group. Although they're getting ready to retire, there is a need still there for many of them to share what they've learned, sort of tie a bow on their experience of that organization. Many retirees don't want to just leave. They want to leave behind a legacy. Part of that legacy is teaching the next generation, the person who is going to take their job, how to do the job. Teach them everything they know in order to help that new person, but also to give them some kind of closure. The very last bullet point in this lecture has to do with terminated employees. What do we do after someone has been laid off or fired? I highly recommend that you help terminated employees find another job. I know it sounds like a lot of work, and I know a lot of employers wash their hands of employees once they are terminated, but believe me, it will be worth it when people find out that even though you've fired them, that you're still going to do your best to try to help them manage this new transition. At this point, you have a better understanding of what job performance means, how to improve it, and how to help employees develop professionally and personally. Next week, we're going to cover several topics, including how to reward performance, how to correct it, how to manage the employer-employee relationship, how to retain employees.